again. Thank you for joining us today. I'm Carol Jenkins. The program is Black America. And today we're talking about the venerable organization 100 Black Men and their work with boys and girls of color. With us is 100 Black Men of New York City President of the Board, Michael Garner, who in his day-to-day work is VP and Chief Diversity Officer for the MTA, the Metropolitan Transit Authority, as you may know, has a $30 billion budget. And thank you so much for being with us today, Michael.
And thank you.
Right, so you're just the kind of man who should be a part of 100 Black Men, inspiring all of these young, mostly boys, but girls too. Another man who is a genius, just today the flags are flying at half-mast for Dr. Roscoe Brown, who was the host of the program that preceded us here in Black America called African American Legends, and a member. He called himself the 101st Black Man.
Yes, yes.
Talk to us about.
He was a great inspiration to me personally. If you think about Dr. Brown, he was not only a war hero, he was an educator, he was a lecturer, he was one who inspired, he led by example. I would simply say that he was a Renaissance man. There's nothing that he couldn't do. And his mantra was that you can do anything that you put your mind to do and you work hard. And he was absolutely right. So my heart is saddened in the passing of living Black history.
I know, and at the age of 94 too, and he really did everything he talked about right up until the very end. He also gave spirit to longevity as well. He was an incredible man. We miss him very much.
He phoned me last month, and he would call me and say, "Hey, listen, you need to do X, Y, and Z." So he wanted me to call all the Black groups together to talk about the Housing Authority and how we can come together and to improve the lives of the residents in the Housing Authority. So he was very actively engaged.
Right. Always thinking about how to make things better. Incredible. So I always ask my guests to place themselves in Black America. And where did you grow up, and who were your early influences that turned you into this man at the top of the MTA?
Well, I was born in Harlem, and my parents got separated. So I followed my father out to Chicago, where he was from. And I was exposed to some great leaders in Chicago: Minister Farrakhan, Jesse Jackson, John Johnson, Ebony and Jet. My favorite hero in Chicago was a guy by the name of Harold Washington, who was the first Black mayor of Chicago.
Sure.
And I was in college, and Mayor Washington told me, he said, "You know what? I walk around with my urban planners. You know why?" I says, "No." He said, "Because if you're not planning, you're being planned. If you're not planning, you're being planned." So growing up in the most segregated city in the country, where there was a lot of Black wealth, it taught me that, once again, you can shatter glass ceilings, you can be anything you want to be, as long as you put your mind to it and you work hard and you discipline and you focus.
Right, and we were talking before that we started taping that you read the book that my daughter and I wrote about A.G. Gaston, who was one of our great Black business people. The question that you were mulling then was whether or not Black businessmen and women, at any rate, were better off in segregated times than in integrated times. What's your thinking about that?
You know, it's amazing, because I was at a Black Thought Leader conference last year by Nielsen. They indicated that Blacks in this country, we spend $1.3 trillion a year in goods and services. By the year 2017, we will spend $1.7 trillion, less than 5% with ourselves. And so if we had to focus to spend money amongst in the Black community, we would then be able to create wealth and create our own jobs. And so whether or not, as Adam Clayton Powell stated back in the 1940s, don't shop where you can't work. We are to the point right now where it is hard pressed to find a Black-owned business. So we got to do better.
So I know I was just in Birmingham where my uncle created his 10 major businesses, and we're looking at the motel, which has been designated an historic site because that's, for one reason, it was one of the first black motels, but the other reason is that Martin Luther King Jr. used it as his headquarters when they were desegregating the shops in Alabama. And I remember his regret that as soon as the hotels opened so that we could stay anywhere, the motel began to falter, and with so many other businesses that he had created.
Right. Yeah. So you know what? When I'm in various cities, I always seek out black businesses, soul food restaurants, places where I can go to make sure that I'm spending money that's going to circulate and that's going to create jobs. And I think now that we need to once again refocus as to how we can empower our black businesses, because that's who's going to hire us. If you look at the government programs that were created by the Nixon administration of all administrations on the set-aside program. So you take contracts and you set them aside for businesses. And due to the urban unrest in the 60s, Richard Nixon indicated that if we empower black business, they will hire folks and we will reduce unemployment in the black community. So it is not a new concept, but it's a concept that needs to be refocused.
So the work that you do with young boys, I think in some way has been underestimated, because I was surprised when I saw that you actually are running schools, that you've got like 2,000 boys in secondary schools that you are training and sending off to college. So I'm glad that we're talking about this today. Tell me the concept of 100 Black Men and how you got to the point of realizing that you had to open schools to actually train boys.
So in 1995, we went to the Million Man March in Washington, and we came back and we had a quest to make a difference. And so we looked at the zip codes in this city and found out that 45% of the upstate prison population came from those zip codes. So it
45%.
Yes. It was our quest to open a school in each one of those codes as far as mentoring and giving back. And there was an educator by the name of Thelma Baxter, who was a principal at a high school in the Bronx, who called us and said, listen, I need help with my black male students. They're acting up, they are unruly. Can you guys come in? So we came in large numbers. We brought ties and we taught them how to tie ties and put them in ties. And then that led to the thought process of creating the Eagle Academy schools that would make a difference.
It's so surprising that something so simple and basic as a tie could lead to the work that you're doing. And does it really make a difference with our young boys wearing a tie? Will they wear ties?
Yes, I mean, you know, our young men, they need attention. They need love, they need mentoring. And many times they're acting up because no one is paying them any attention. And so when you in fact come in and you mentor them and you tutor them, and we are also raising scholarships. So for the first time in history, we raised $100,000 this year.
For scholarships.
Yes.
Yeah. And so these 2,000 boys that are, I think your success rate of going on to college is like 78%,
Yes,
and generally it's 50.
Yes, right.
So tell us how you get there. It's got to be more than the tie. I understand how that breaks the ice, so to speak.
So we are with our young men every Saturday morning, and they are being tutored. We talk to them, we spend time with them, we take them on trips, and we spend time with them. And basically, we form a kinship and a bond. And basically,
You're the fathers.
Right. And so basically, we put them on the right track. We give them guidance. We make sure that they are graduating and that they are going to college. And once they get in college, we are then working with them with phone calls and making sure that they have like internship programs, and then we're raising money for them.
And one of your students got 23 offers for?
Yes, Brenton James, who was a top student in the Bronx Eagle Academy. He's currently a rising junior at UPenn. So something that we're doing is working. And he was raised by a single parent, a mother. in the South Bronx.
So there's a school in the South Bronx. There's one in Newark, I
Yes,
know.
one in Newark.
And what are the other zip codes?
Harlem,
Yeah,
Brooklyn,
right.
Southeast Queens, and the most recent entrant is in Staten Island, because the blacks in Staten Island have felt that we have forgotten about them, and they have the same social ills out in Staten Island than the other four boroughs.
So how do you get your students? Because some would say, oh, they're probably vetting the best boys and leaving the boys who really need the most help on the street. How does that work?
It's open enrollment. So they apply. And basically, we take all students. We don't filter. We don't take the best students. It's open enrollment.
Well, I feel better about that now. And so in that open enrollment of everybody applying, that you've got this tremendous success rate.
Yes.
Now, one of the programs that I see that you have and that you tout on your website is the swimming program. It's almost like the Thai incident in a way. You know, what does swimming in a way have to do with success?
Exercise, health and wellness, focus, because most black kids don't swim. They can't swim. You know, I'm not a great swimmer.
I can't swim. I'm the perfect example. I can't swim either. But
right.
Yes.
Right. So it's an activity that we felt that would bring focus to our kids. So we are investing resources in that program.
And robotics.
Yes, robotics. Also, most recently, we've engaged. Everybody talks about gun violence.
Right.
If you look in Chicago, there's been 2,000 shootings and 345 murders since January.
That's your hometown, right?
Of this year.
Right.
And we all talk about it. The question is that what are we going to do about it? So we had our first annual Mother's Day gun buyback program in Harlem, where we got 89 guns off the street. We did a Father's Day gun buyback program, and we retrieved 62 guns off the street in the same area in Harlem. And basically, for every gun that you retrieve off the street, that's a total of 2 lives that's being saved.
That's being saved.
So it's one thing to sit around and talk about how bad things are. It's the second thing to get up and do something about it.
So you're working to, we have this most recent incident of Alton Sterling in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Let's take a look at his interaction with several police officers and the result of that.
Okay.
Oh! They shot him? Oh my!
They killed this boy.
Well, much to be resolved about that case, but the video would seem to suggest that Alton was shot while he was down on the ground by a police officer. Your boys are seeing this.
Right.
What do you say to them? Does this discourage them, or how do they react when they see this continuous assault, murder, actually?
Fear and rage, and we tell them that if you're stopped by law enforcement, to be courteous, to follow the instructions of the law enforcement officers to avert anything happening like this. My cousin, Eric Garner, this is really almost like that. I mean, you know, effective officers, they have a way of defusing and not agitating. And so basically, I think that there has to be better training of law and enforcement officers. In addition to, when we're stopped, we should follow the instruction of the officers as well.
Well, I think I'm trying to put myself in the place of an angry young man who's confused and frightened and all of that. And I'm not so sure that I could force myself to be so courteous and so respectful in that situation. Your cousin, I would think about your cousin and of how unjust that was for him to be just murdered on the street for virtually nothing, and no one paying a price for that. So you must be doing something else psychologically with these boys to get them to really, truly down their anger and upset about this.
They should focus on long term and not short term. That although that we live in the greatest city, in the greatest state, in the greatest country in the world, still not fair. So those of us who have made it, we need to work in tandem and hard in giving them the faith and the opportunity that we had.
And so, speaking of who the 101 black men are, who are you guys? You're successful in your professions. You've achieved some degree of, shall we say, wealth. What about artistic? What about other ways of going forward in life? Who's in that group that represents the full breadth of how you can be successful in life, other than the traditional up the ladder, so to speak?
We are doctors, we are attorneys, we are in Congress, we are in the State Assembly, we are at City Hall. We are black men who, by the grace of God, someone took time out with us that allowed us to look past a lot of the injustices, give us the confidence and the faith to move on and basically become who we are. That's who the founding chapter of the 100 Black Men are. We were founded by leaders Jackie Robinson, Judge Bob Magnum. In those days, these men came together, Mayor Dinkins, they came together because they wanted to organize themselves to effectively deal with issues that was affecting blacks in this great city that we live in. And it's amazing because if you're not careful, we are almost back in the 1950s and don't even know it.
What do you mean by that?
That issues that our grandparents dealt with, we are dealing with. They have re-emerged. When you look at Donald Trump running for president, who would think that a person who hurls insults would win the nomination of the GOP party? Where's the class? Where's the common courtesy? Where's the respect? And so we are dealing with issues that our grandparents dealt with.
Well, and certainly the turning back of the voting rights is another issue. The restrictions there politically. Are you optimistic about black participation in politics? Barack Obama will be leaving as our first black president. But what kind of job do you think he did, by the way?
He did a great job. I mean, there were people who just did not want to support him because of the color of his skin. And he worked through that. To have a man who worked hard and made it to the White House and was not afforded the common courtesy and respect than all the rest of the presidents that came, takes a very, very special man to not lose sight and not lose focus. I know that he did a great, fantastic job, and there are non-black people who I talk to who are saying that he's going to go down as one of the greatest presidents in the history of this country.
And I know that you have some connection, the 100 Black Men, to his Brother's Keeper, My Brother's Keeper, the program that the president has started, and we assume is going to continue working with once he's out of office.
Yes.
Tell us how that relationship works with that organization.
We were called to Washington about 3 years ago, and when the program was laid out, we lobbied in the state senate and here, and basically they are funding now. And so we're going to be meeting and talking about what programs under that is going to be funded.
And we always ask about the girls. You know, there was a big brouhaha. Still, there's some discrepancy, as many believe that, you know, the concentration is all on the boys, and certainly there's a need there. But as we know, many black women are now being, or not now, but always been killed by police officers, and lacking in educational aspects as well. So what do you say about the girls?
We have a big tent. As a matter of fact, we are giving girls college scholarships. We have a Saturday morning program in association with Pace University that we are in fact have a co-ed training program that we have to ensure that they are in fact being educated. And there's a business plan competition that they are being taught how to execute one.
And I know
so
that
we have a big tent.
Right. So, and I know that you are working with them on building their resumes and, this mentoring, this one-on-one, which I think is so key. How often are you, as a mentor, are you supposed to meet with your mentee?
Actually, basically once a week. So there's phone calls, there's meetings, and then on Saturday mornings we are there in tandem.
And are the length of time that people have stayed in this organization, the 100 Black, we know David Dinkins, who is still very much active in some way or another, but how long do guys stay in once they get into 100 Black Men? And first of all, how do they get, what's the bar for getting into 100 Black Men?
You will need to be sponsored. There's an interview process, and that's it. You're in. And then one of the requirements that we have is that once you're admitted, that you are engaged.
So there's not an income bar, there's not a success bar.
No.
You have to be a responsible individual and want to.
Exactly.
Want to manage. So for those out there who are interested in joining up, talk to us about what you feel the years after President Obama. I know you feel that he's been a successful president, but what do you think this country will be like? So much ugliness has been unearthed during the campaign, but what's your guess as to how the country will look after this?
Our nation is an experiment. Blue states versus red states, urban versus rural. All of us are immigrants. We are an experiment. And as a matter of fact, I heard the president say that we went through a civil war. And so I'm very optimistic that the hard work of you, myself, and others, we are going to come to a common ground and recognize that we live in the greatest city in the world. And when we talk to each other and not at each other, we then finally realize that we have a lot more in common than we don't have in common. And
for entrepreneurs, I want to get back to your idea of the fact that 5% of businesses, I mean, it's shocking, stunning, because we think that so much progress has been made in terms of blacks, people of color generally, having businesses. But what's the 5% bar?
Yeah, I mean, we need to improve that, and we need to create opportunities for our kids to be trained how to open businesses up in high school and in college. And so basically, once they graduate, they can then, in fact, create a business that they can sell their goods and products to the world. And so they must be trained.
And of course, one of the distressing things is that so many of our major companies, like Ebony Magazine, that just sold itself and is closing down. Essence Magazine is owned by Time Inc. All of the big companies that were started seem to be drifting away from us.
I think those of us who are grandparents and great-grandparents started businesses, that it is incumbent upon us to make sure that those businesses are, in fact, move forward in a way. And that has to focus on transition. The kids and the grandkids need to be trained how to become business owners and how to execute day to day. And if that does not happen, then you will see black-owned businesses going out of business or being bought up.
And certainly in the case of so many of the companies, once they get to be so huge, the only thing that can buy them, once they've reached the billion-dollar status or whatever, is other major companies, and there just are not enough, black companies to absorb the others.
Right. So the same way that they are being bought out, they need to expand, merge, grow, and buy other businesses. I mean, being in business is like war. I mean, you got to maintain your market share and take someone else's market share.
And why have we not been able to do that yet? What's been lacking?
Our kids saw how difficult it was for their parents and their parents to make a living. So they are becoming doctors, attorneys, and they're going into other areas.
Business is too tough.
Yes, right, right.
And you are now working for the MTA.
Yes.
Charged with getting contracts for people. How is that working out? Are there enough businesses applying?
Well, yes. So we are the largest state authority out of 96 agencies in this state. This governor has indicated that 30% of our contracts, not less than 30%, are going to be awarded to those firms that we go out and we recruit and we mentor. This governor has the highest totals in the country. He's also outlined $100 billion in infrastructure projects for the city of New York. It is the transformation of this great city. And this governor, he's leading by saying that everybody must benefit in these contracts. So out of the 96 agencies, the MTA has the largest program.
And you're in charge of making sure that it's representative.
Exactly. My staff of 36, we live, we eat, we breathe what we do. And that's going out and recruiting minority-owned businesses and getting them involved in our procurement processes.
So we always end our program by asking our guests to finish the sentence, which is, the strength, the power of Black America lies in. What do you think it lies in?
The strength lies in, as a people, we are the most talented people in the world. Jazz, blues, sports, scientists. If I had to focus on one person who I think showed that, Dr. Roscoe C. Brown. That's what Black America is.
That's that versatility, the Renaissance man, you called him, the Renaissance. We have to become Renaissance people. We are in so many ways.
You got it.
Well, Michael Garner, we thank you so much for being with us here today to talk about the 100 Black Men, the program, your schools with boys that are successful. And we really believe that you all will make a difference. We thank you so much for being with us today.
And thank you.
And we want to thank you all out there, too, for joining us for this show. We will see you the next time. I'm Carol Jenkins. The program is Black America.